And welcome, everyone. Welcome to Trading Tech Talk. My name is Daniel, and I will be your host tonight. And once again, I am very excited to present to you yet another platform for our Powerbundle with auto optimization. And this week's platform is going to be, as you may guess from the title, MetaStock. MetaStock is very unique, and it has a lot of, interesting characteristics, but perhaps the most interesting feature and the most powerful feature of MetaStock is its scanner. It is crazy what you can scan through, literally tens of thousands of symbols in a very fast pace, which will allow you to identify trade opportunities every single day. And how this is possible and how you can fully leverage our Powerbundle with auto optimization with MetaStock, we're going to cover today. So please get comfortably seated, lean back, and let's get started. As always, I am not alone today. And with us today, we have Homer. Hi, Homer. And Homer will be manning the chat primarily today. So if you have questions, please write them into the Q&A section of your Zoom window, and Homer will attend to your questions as she sees fits. And of course, she may also interrupt me here and then if a question is pertinent to what I am presenting. In case you don't know me, again, my name is Daniel Sinnick, and all together with Homer and Nicholas, we are tradingindicators.com. By now, we've built over 500 trading indicators, automated strategies, dashboards for various clients, really all around the world. We have clients on every single continent, and we supply our products to trading educators, to institutions, to retail traders, and with the objective to help every single one of them to make better trading decisions and ultimately to become better traders. We're not only building trading indicators, although our name suggests as such. If you go to tradingindicators.com, you will primarily see our trading indicators products, but it doesn't stop there. We've built over the years multiple trading dashboards. They're all web-based. We've built trading apps, fully automated strategies. We've built scanners and so forth. And with everything we do, we're trying to give it a little, unique touch, which makes our products stand out. And of course, with the objective that whatever we integrate in terms of features and visualizations, it will help you, the end user, the trader, to make better trading decisions. And we supply our trading indicators for various platforms: NinjaTrader, TradingView, TradeStation, MetaTrader, ModifWave, and so forth. And of course, today's topic is going to be how our Powerbundle 360 in its latest generation with auto optimizations can be fully used with MetaStock. All right, so a quick outline of what we have planned today. I'm going to cover real quick just after this what is new at Trading Indicators. A couple of exciting things have happened in the last 2 weeks. And then we're just going to dive into the topic at hand, which is our Powerbundle 360 AO. AO stands for Auto Optimization for MetaStock. I'm going to have lots of charts, lots of demos, lots of in-depth material, how you can fully take advantage out of every single aspect about the Powerbundle 360. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to write them into the Q&A section, and Homer will attend to your questions throughout this presentation. Okay, so if you're wondering, perhaps if you missed the Trading Tech Talk 2 weeks ago, or perhaps a few weeks ago, if you're wondering where can I find the recordings, it's very easy. They're all posted on our YouTube channel. Simply go to tradingindicators.com. In the top right corner, you will find a little YouTube icon. Click on it. It will get you directly to our YouTube channel. And there you can see all the recordings of our Tech Talks and more. So sometimes we just post events that we're hosting. We just recently, for example, presented at the MetaStock Euro event. This recording will be posted there as well as soon as it becomes available. So don't forget to check out our YouTube channel for all kinds of news about tradingindicators.com. And if you want to be kept up to date and notified whenever something new happens on our channel, make sure you click the subscribe button. All right, so what is new at Trading Indicators? Well, as of, I believe, Monday, perhaps Tuesday, we are now fully accredited by the Better Business Bureau with a rating of A+, which is the highest rating. We were audited by the Better Business Bureau and we are fully approved in terms of best business practices. So it's something that makes us very proud. And if you want to, if you don't believe me, for example, or if you want to look it up yourself, you can go to the Better Business Bureau's website and enter our legal name, which happens to be Bayous Consulting and Investments. So it's not tradingindicators.com, it's Bayous Consulting and Investments, which has historical reasons. So back in the day, I started off as a consultant for various banks, and that was the name I used back in the day. And we just have kept it now into tradingindicators.com. But this is still our legal name, Bayous Consulting and Investments. All right, we have also published this week a new version of the Powerbundle AO for TradingView, which addresses some bug fixes. For example, one thing that was fixed is that the number of partial exits was not taken into account properly when any of the auto settings were used for TradingView. This is now fixed for both Divergence Cloud and 1-2-3 Strike. And another bug that we fixed was that the candle coloring for Volatility Crusher did not work properly for our Powerbundle AO. Also, this one has been fixed. And we've also just released a new version of Portfolio Architect, which now supports import of TradeStation backtest results. And if you want to know more about any of these products, simply go to tradingindicators.com, where you will see all the details about these products. All right, so now to the topic at hand. Welcome again, everyone, to this Powerbundle AO Bootcamp for MetaStock. We are going to cover every aspect that you need to know to take full advantage of the Powerbundle AO. Again, AO stands for Auto Optimization for MetaStock. We're going to look at shorting. We're going to look at how to run explorations/scans in MetaStock, how to run system tests, how to configure every aspect of the Powerbundle AO, all the parameters that are possible. We're going to explain to you what every parameter means. And I'm also going to show you how to configure the auto optimization engine of the Powerbundle in MetaStock. And you will see, once we dive into the auto optimization part, MetaStock Scanner is really the tool that everybody should be using, because it will allow you to identify trading opportunities every single day. All right, so I hope this sounds exciting. Now, please lean back and let's get started. Before we dive into the topic, please keep in mind that trading is risky and not necessarily suited for everyone. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which is defined as capital that, should you use it, it will not affect your lifestyle. When it comes to hypothetical performance or backtest performance, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance. All right, so now that the lawyers are also happy, let's get started with our bootcamp. We're going to start off with giving an overview of what the Powerbundle AO is in its latest generation. Once done, we're going to look what will be included in your MetaStock installation once you have access to the Powerbundle AO. As you will see, there are many different components included right out of the box for MetaStock. We're then going to use look at charting examples, and we're going to see how we can configure the indicators when applied to the chart. I will then deep dive into every single indicator and explain to you what all the different parameters of the indicators do, because it's very important to understand those to fine-tune these parameters. And then we're going to look into some MetaStock specific aspects, such as how to run scans/explorations, how to run system tests and optimizations in MetaStock. All right, so let's get started with an overview of what the Powerbundle AO is in its latest generation. So the Powerbundle AO consists of 3 indicators. And we have purposefully picked 3 indicators to cover each market cycle. We have 1 indicator for trend trading, which is 1 to 3 strike, 1 indicator for trading reversals or pullbacks, and 1 indicator for finding and trading breakouts, which happen typically during sideways markets. And by doing this, we hope that we have covered every market cycle that you may encounter. All right, so our first indicator is called 1 to 3 strike, and it's designed to trade trends and to find promising trend entries. And it does this by confirming that a strong trend is in place by looking at 3 different dimensions. Directionality, so price needs to move either to the upside or the downside for a sustained period of time. We require an increase of volume and an increase of volatility. And if all 3 dimensions come together, an entry signal, a trend entry signal is generated by this indicator. All right, so this is 1 to 3 strike. The second indicator in the bundle is called divergence cloud. And as the name suggests, it's based on divergence. And you perhaps know divergence is defined as a discrepancy between price movement and an underlying indicator. And we have found in our lab, in our research department, that there's a very special form of divergence, which is often overlooked, which we call volatility divergence. You can see it down here. Basically, volatility divergence occurs if price, let's say, goes up and volatility goes down, or vice versa, price goes down and volatility goes up. And if any of these 2 cases happen, we either have bullish or bearish divergence. And in our case, these 2 forms of divergence can be used very effectively and with high precision to identify pullbacks in an established trend before the overarching trend continues, or to identify true and full trend reversals, where, for example, an uptrend is replaced by a downtrend. Okay, so this is divergence cloud. But now, and our third indicator is called volatility crusher. It's an intelligent indicator designed to detect strong breakouts. And for us, a strong breakout is a breakout where price will continue in the direction of the breakout for quite some time. As you can imagine, as a trader, you can take advantage of this because you would enter in the direction of the breakout in the hope the price will continue and the profiting of this phenomena. All right, so this is our third indicator. And all 3 indicators, they are designed across a common paradigm. They not only give you clear entry signals, which is important, of course, but they will also give you clear exit signals. Because once you're in a trade, you need to figure out when to get out of this trade again. And this is why we have equipped our indicators with exit signals as well, which will tell you very clearly when to get out of the trade or when to book partial profits. All our indicators, all 3 indicators, they run on any time frame, any chart type, any platform. We have designed these indicators to be flexible, so they will support your trading style. So whether you are an investor, a day trader, a scalper, you can take advantage of our indicators because they're not bound to a particular time frame. You can use them at any time frame, at the longest time frames, daily time frames, weekly time frames, but also at the shortest time frames. All our indicators are equipped with real-time statistics. And in MetaStock, you can see these statistics in the expert commentary section. And how this can be accessed, I will show to you in just a bit. And now with the latest generation of our indicators, we've also integrated what we call auto-optimization. So what is auto-optimization? Well, in a nutshell, auto-optimization is a brand new feature which will determine fully automatically the best parameters to be used. And guess what? The best parameters, they are different from symbol to symbol. They are different from time frame to time frame. And finding these parameters manually is very tedious because you'd have to do the work over and over again when you change symbols, when you change time frames. But now with auto-optimization, we have come up with a feature which will do the heavy lifting for you, therefore allowing you to focus on your trading instead of fiddling around with the parameters. And again, how this will work with MetaStock, we will see in just a bit. Okay, so this was the overview of what the Powerbundle 360 AO in its latest generation is. Now let's have a look of how we can install the Powerbundle AO for MetaStock and what is included in the installation. Okay, so as soon as you get access of the installation file for MetaStock, it's actually quite simple. All you need to do is to double click on the executable. So if you're on Windows, it will then launch the Windows installer, and it will fully automatically install the Powerbundle AO for MetaStock. You may encounter throughout the installation process a couple of confirmation messages, whether you really want to install the Powerbundle or whether potentially you want to overwrite an older version of the Powerbundle. In any case, you would just confirm all these questions throughout, and once done, the Powerbundle AO will be installed for MetaStock. And once installed, there are many different things included. So I'd like to walk you through what is included. So the first thing you will notice is that there are 6 different expert advisors included. So for MetaStock, or when it comes to MetaStock, an expert advisor is an indicator which is applied to the chart. Okay, so it's a bit different from perhaps expert advisors that you may know from other platforms, which automatically trade for you. But in MetaStock, an expert advisor will show you buy or sell signal on the chart, but will not trade these automatically. Okay, so basically our chart indicators for MetaStock are called expert advisors. And once you install the Powerbundle AO, you will see that there are 6 different expert advisors included. So we have 3 which we use for manual configuration. We have one for 1-2-3 strike, one for divergence cloud, and one for volatility crusher. And when I say manual configuration, I mean that for these expert advisors, you can select the parameters manually to your liking. And basically, if you have access to the older version of the Powerbundle, this is all we had so far, all for manual configuration, where the parameters need to be set and adjusted manually. But now, with our latest version, we have also included 3 additional expert advisors for automatic optimization. So one for 1-2-3 strike, one for divergence cloud, and one for volatility crusher. And you can see that these are for auto optimization by seeing the AO suffix at the end in the name. So 1-2-3 strike, AO, divergence cloud, AO, volatility crusher, AO. And what's special about these versions is that they will find the best parameters automatically for you. And how this works, we'll see in just a bit. All right, so this is for the chart indicators. Then your Powerbundle AO for MetaStock also comes with a large set of predefined explorations. And then MetaStock lingo, an exploration is a scan, which will allow you to scan for entry signals across thousands and tens of thousands of symbols. As mentioned previously, MetaStock has perhaps the most powerful scanner in the industry. It is very fast, and it has so many symbols built in. It will easily outpace any of the other platforms that you may have encountered. Now, when it comes to these predefined scans, once again, we have 4 scans, one for 1-2-3 strike, 2 for divergence cloud, and 1 for volatility crusher, which are meant to be used with the manual configuration. Again, manual configuration here means that we manually pick the parameters, the indicator parameters, to be used for these scans. And why do we have 4? Well, in a nutshell, for divergence cloud, as we will see in just a bit, we not only have divergence cloud entry signals, but we also have the cloud color that we can scan for, which is this scan here. So whether we can scan whether we currently have, for a particular symbol, a bearish divergence or a bullish divergence or no divergence at all. And this can be performed with this scan here, the div cloud type scan or exploration. Okay, so then, in addition to this, we have now included, again, with the latest generation of the Powerbundle AO, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new explorations, which scan for different aspects, and they all use the auto optimization feature. And this is really powerful because now we will not use the same parameterization for every single for every symbol that we scan through. Instead, we will use an optimal configuration on a per symbol basis. So for example, if we have IBM, Apple, and Tesla in our scan universe, we will use different parameters for every single symbol. And how are these parameters chosen? Well, they're chosen based on our auto-optimization feature, which will determine for you which are the best parameters to be chosen for a particular symbol. So Tesla will have a different parameterization than for Apple, and Apple will have a different parameterization than IBM. All chosen automatically, so you don't have to do this. All right. So in addition to this, for each indicator, we have more than one scan. And why is that? Well, for 1, 2, 3 strike, we have one scan which will look for entry signals, meaning whether we currently have for our last bar an entry signal, either a buy signal or a sell signal. But we also have a new scan which will scan for open trades. It's abbreviated here because this is the max length of an expiration in MetaStock. So sometimes it's missing a bit at the end, but don't be alarmed. These are all valid. And here, for example, we can scan when we use the 1, 2, 3 strike AO trade expiration, whether we currently have an open trade. But the trade must not necessarily be open at the last bar. Perhaps it's already open for the last 20 bars or 30 bars or even longer. But it's still something that a point of interest, because maybe you want to see, okay, what are the open trades right now that I have in the symbols that I'm interested in? This is why we've included this exploration as well. Same thing for Divergence Club. We can scan for signals at the last bar or for open trades, and again, for the cloud color. And for Volatility Crusher, again, we can scan for signals at the last bar and whether Volatility Crusher currently has an open trade. And all these explorations, they will use the auto optimization feature. All right, so this is also included in the installation of the Powerbundle AO for MetaStock. But it doesn't stop here. We have also included 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 predefined system tests. Now, what is a system test when it comes to MetaStock? A system test is an automated strategy which you can backtest using the MetaStock backtester or system tester. And we have included 2 fully automated strategies for each indicator. One that will use the default parameters, and one that uses the MetaStock optimizer, the built-in optimizer, to find the best parameters for you when it comes to an automated strategy. Do not confuse this optimizer with the auto optimization feature for our indicators, because this optimizer is used for automated strategies. When it comes to our indicators, we're using this on an indicator basis, which is very unique, which didn't exist before. Okay. All right, so we have for each indicator, or for each indicator, we have defined 2 automated strategies, one that uses the default parameters and one that uses the MetaStock optimizer. We have all these included as well in the installation of the Powerbundle AO. And last but not least, we have settings indicators, one for each indicator of the Powerbundle. And what these do, I will explain to you as we're going to look at some examples together. Okay, so let's move on. So this is what's included. Now let's roll up our sleeve and look at some charts together, and let's see how we can use these indicators, how we can configure these indicators, and how we can optimize these indicators together. So I will switch over to MetaStock, and here where we see MetaStock, I've opened up a blank chart. I'm going to start very simple. I'm going to show you now how we can apply a chart indicator with buy and sell signals to the chart. All right, I'm going to start with 1, 2, 3 strike as an example. So in order to apply our 1, 2, 3 strike indicator, all we need to do is to right-click on the chart. We'll open up a context menu. Then you go to Expert Advisor and select Attach. On the MetaStock, you can only attach one expert advisor per chart at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to say attach. And again, in terms of MetaStock terminology, an expert advisor is an indicator with buy and sell signals. So I will click attach. it will then show me the list of available experts in MetaStock. And in order to find our Powerbundle AO experts, all we need to do is to scroll down. These are all ordered alphabetically to Powerbundle. So I go down here, and here we see all the 6 experts, which I mentioned previously, which come with our Powerbundle AO. In this case, let's apply 1, 2, 3 strike without auto optimization first. Okay, so we're going to get to the auto optimization feature in a second. So this is this one here. And why does this one have no auto optimization? Because it doesn't have the AO at the end. So I will apply it. I'll click OK. Once applied, we can see the entry and exit signals directly on the price chart. As you can see here, these bigger green arrows are long entry signals, and the bigger red arrows are short entry signals. For every entry, we also have a set of exits. For example, here we had 1 short entry, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4 partial exits. At least, well, 3 partial exits and then 1 final exit at the end. And of course, this can all be configured. Sometimes we do not get to have 4 partial exits if something happens in terms of price movements. For example, here we had a long entry, but we didn't get any partial exits because price did not follow through. Price did not go in the direction that we intended. So price didn't go up because it was a long entry. Instead, an entry signal in the opposite direction occurred. In this case, a short entry signal. In this case, this is an indication to you as the trader to close down your long position and to open up a position in the opposite direction. In this case, a short position. What we can also see on the chart for 1, 2, 3 strike is that the candles are either colored greenish or reddish. And as you can imagine, these are indications of trend. So when the candles are reddish, it means we're on a downtrend. And when they are greenish, it means we are in an uptrend. All right. So this is basically how the indicator works. What's also really cool about MetaStock is, and this is quite unique again for MetaStock, is the expert commentary, which shows you additional information about the expert applied to the chart. In order to open up the commentary, all you need to do is to right-click on the chart, you go to Expert Advisor, and you go to Expert Commentary. This will open up a sub-panel, as you can see here, with additional information about this indicator. For example, what can we see here? We can see that we are currently, let me just click here at the end, we are currently in an uptrend. I mean, we saw this also here on the bar because it's green, but we can also see it or read it here in the expert commentary. Price bars are currently colored green because price is in an uptrend. All right, great. We can also see how well our entry signals have been working out historically speaking. This is what we call the real-time statistics. We can see here, for example, that our long entries had a success rate of 76%, and our short entries had a success rate of 52%. So I can learn from this that, wow, long entries really worked out nicely for this indicator. I went applied across all the bars available on the chart. So this information is calculated based on all bars available on the chart. So if I zoom out a little bit, you can see that all these different signals were taken into account to come up with these statistics. Yeah? This is something which is very hard to see manually because you would have to go through all these signals and see if they were successful or not. But our indicators, they will do this automatically for you in terms of these statistics. And we can learn from this that long trades, historically speaking, have been working out better than short trades. All right, and we can also learn from these statistics that currently we do not have a new entry signal. All right, great. So this is the expert commentary, which we have built into every of the 3 indicators for MetaStock. Now, let me talk a little bit about how these indicators can be configured, because everything basically in terms of logic and in terms of visualization can be changed. So in MetaStock, we have a bunch of indicators, a bunch of parameters for every indicator. And you can see these parameters by opening up what's called a settings indicator. It's a bit different from other platforms. If you use other platform, you don't have to go through a settings indicator, but MetaStock, you would need to do this. So in order to open up the settings indicator, you click on this little indicator function here, which will show you all the different settings indicators available for the Powerbundle. So in this case, we could open up the Powerbundle 360 1, 2, 3 strike settings indicator and click on edit. Once I do this, I can see all the parameters that are being used for this configuration of the indicator. For example, we have a parameter called volume period set to 14. We have a parameter called volatility period set to 7. Exit on high volume reversal set to 0. Long partial exits, short partial exits, and so forth. Yeah? So everything here can be configured. And in order to configure it, all you need to do is to basically edit the line which is not in curly braces. The curly braces are simply commentary for you to understand what this parameter does and what its default setting is. Okay, so you would edit anything which is not in curly braces. So for example, if you want to change the volume period from 14 to perhaps 7, I can do this. Make sure at the end, the semicolon remains where it is. Okay, and once you're done editing, you can click OK. And now observe the statistics here, they will change. So I'm going to click OK. And I will reload the indicator to the chart by clicking this reload icon here. So once this is done, everything will be recalculated. And we can see, as soon as it's done, that also now our statistics have changed. Now our long efficiency, because I changed something, have increased to 88%. And the short efficiency has, I forgot what the previous value was, but also has changed. And of course, this makes sense because we have changed the parameters. As a result, the long entries and the short entries have also changed. And the statistics, the success statistics will be updated accordingly. All right, so this is how you can manually change the parameters. But of course, as you may remember, with the latest generation of the Powerbundle, we have integrated auto optimization. Now, how can we use this new feature? Well, quite easy. All we need to do is to apply the auto optimization version of this indicator. Quite easy. Again, right click on the chart. You go to Expert Advisor. You go to Attach. As mentioned before, you can only attach one Expert Advisor at the time. So if I try to attach a new one now, it will delete or detach the existing Expert Advisor and attach the new one. So I'm going to click Attach. And now, instead of using the plain 1, 2, 3 strike Expert Advisor, I'm going to be using the 1, 2, 3 strike AO version of my Expert Advisor. I click OK. This is the latest version. And after a little time, this indicator will now be applied to the chart. And guess what? This indicator now has automatically optimized the parameters for me. As we can see here, down here. So now in our optimization period, what this means, I'll explain to you in a second, we now have a long efficiency of 81% and a short efficiency of 68%. Wow, it increased. Yeah? And across all the bars on the chart, our long efficiency is at 76% and 62% for the short side. This was done by the Expert Advisor automatically by finding the best parameters for you. Now, there are different, so if you may wonder, wow, what are these parameters that were chosen to be the best ones? Well, quite easy. You can actually see it right here. Right below our trading indicators logo, you can see what are the optimal settings used. So optimized settings used. We can see, okay, for volume period, a value of 15 was used. For volatility period, a value of 5. Exit on high volume reversal was set to false. Fast MA period 5, slow MA period 40, and so forth. All right. We can also see that the simplified optimization mode was used, which is the fastest optimization mode. We have 2 other modes available in MetaStock. I'm going to show you just a bit later what these optimization modes are. All right. So this is 1, 2, 3 strike. Let's move on to our next indicator, divergence cloud. So for this, I'm going to change symbols and I'm going to open up Caesars Entertainment. Okay. And once again, I will apply the divergence cloud indicator to the chart. And we'll start once again with the optimizing version. In this case, I'm going to speed things up just a little bit so we can move along. So Divergence Cloud without the AO, which is the non-optimizing version, which will allow you to set the parameters manually. I apply it to the chart. Once applied, I can see the following. Let me start at the top. So again, we can see that some of our price bars are colored reddish and others are colored greenish. So for 1, 2, 3 strike, these were indications of trend, whether we are on an uptrend or in a downtrend. When it comes to Divergence Cloud, these are indications of either bearish divergence or bullish divergence. All right. So you can actually use this candle coloring. So if you perhaps trade manually without indicators, or perhaps you use a different indicator system, you can use this cloud coloring as an extra filter for your own trading system. For example, only take a long trade if the cloud color is green at the same time, or only take a short trade if the cloud color is reddish at the same time. So this works really nicely as an additional filter. But you can also just use Divergence Cloud as a standalone trading system, because it also comes with long entry signals, these bigger arrows pointing upwards, and short entry signals. And just like 1, 2, 3 strike, let me just quickly close the expert commentary. Just like if 1, 2, 3 strike, we also have partial exits. So for example, here we had a long entry, we had 1, 2, 3 exits, 3 partial exits, and then a final exit here. So LPE stands for long partial exit. We had 3 of them, LPE, LPE, and then we had 1 LFE. As you may guess, LFE stands for long final exit. And the same thing for the short side, short signal here, a couple of partial exits along the way. And the logic is the same as for the 1, 2, 3 strike. If we have a long entry, we didn't trigger all the partial exits yet, or a short entry in this case, and then an entry in the opposite direction comes along, this means that we should close out our short position at this point and enter in the opposite direction, even though not all partial exits were triggered yet. All right, so this is Divergence Cloud. And just like 1, 2, 3 strike, we also have 2 settings indicators for Divergence Cloud, which will allow you to manually change the settings of the indicator. And what these settings do, I will cover in just a bit. So you can change these manually. And we also have 1 settings indicator called Divergence Cloud AO, which will allow you to customize and change the optimization settings that are used by the auto-optimizing version. Now, what we've applied on the chart here is not the auto-optimization version yet, but we can easily apply it by simply right-clicking on the chart. Once again, I go to Expert Advisor and I click on Attach. And here I choose now the AO version of Divergence Cloud AO. I click OK. And once done, the indicator now has auto-optimized its setting for you. Okay, and we can see how the indicator has been performing by simply right-clicking on the chart. And we're going to Expert Commentary. And we can see here in the sub-panel that the following optimized settings were used. So we had an ATR period setting of 5, divergence look-back setting 21, and so forth. 180 different configurations were tested over the last 1,000 bars. And across the optimization period, which are the last 1,000 bars, we had a long efficiency of 81% and a short efficiency of 84%. And if you look at all the bars on the chart, our long efficiency was even better at 86%. You may wonder, how is that even possible? How can this value be higher? Well, because, in the bars which were not considered doing optimization, maybe this chart has 2,000 bars loaded, the long entry signal even performed better than during the optimization period, therefore yielding an even higher percentage. And then for the short side, it dropped down a bit to 75%. Yet both percentages are still very high for Divergence Cloud, because in Divergence Cloud, just like 1, 2, 3 strike, our winners tend to be bigger than our losers. And even with an efficiency rating of around 60% or even 50%, we can have a profitable system. All right, so this is Divergence Cloud. Now, I'm quickly going to move on to our last indicator, which is volatility crusher. And as I mentioned previously, our indicators not only can be used on daily charts, so far we had daily charts only, but they can also be used on intraday charts. And for this purpose, I'm going to open up a futures chart, and it's going to be the S&P E-mini futures on the 10-minute time frame. So this is an intraday time frame. And once again, I will now apply an expert advisor, and in this case, it's going to be volatility crusher, our breakout indicator. So right-click on the chart, go to expert advisor, attach, and in this case, I will once again pick one of our Powerbundle indicators, and it's going to be volatility crusher. In this case, with the manual configuration. So I click OK, and it's being loaded onto the chart. And once done, we can see all the different entries and exit signals on the chart. So here we can see, for example, that we just recently, this is a 10-minute chart. So just, overnight, last night, we had a nice short entry signal yielding the fact that both targets were hit. We had a couple of long entry signals along the way previously. Also quite nice. So most of them hit the target, as we can see here. One long entry, target 1, target 2 was hit. Here another long entry, both targets were hit. Here a long entry where only target 1 was hit, and then we got stopped out, and so forth. Okay, so unlike 1, 2, 3 strike and divergence cloud, volatility crusher has 2 predefined targets. So in divergence cloud 1, 2, 3 strike, you can configure the partial exits from 4 to 6 or perhaps 2. With volatility crusher, it's always 2 targets. So every signal comes with 2 targets. And every signal also comes with a built-in trading stop. Okay? So if we had an open trade, you could see this directly in the expert commentary, what the trading stop level was. So it's written out in the expert commentary. It just happened that this particular signal right now went flat early on today, and we're flat now. There's no open signal. But if we had an open signal, I'm going to look at some examples later on, you could see what the trading stop is right here in the expert commentary. All right. So what else do we have? Of course, for volatility crusher, we also have an auto optimization version. How do we apply it? Well, same procedure. Right click on the chart, go to expert advisor, click on attach, then scroll down to Powerbundle 360, and in this case, pick the volatility crusher AO version. I'm going to do this right now. And after a little time, this will take a bit longer to load because the optimization takes a bit longer for volatility crush because of the complexity of the logic of the indicator itself. But now it's done, and we can see that the following optimized settings have been used. So look back period of 12, smoothing period 20, standard deviation multiple 1.5, and so forth. I'm going to cover in just a second what these parameters do. All right, we can also see that 144 configurations were tested and that we had used the simplified optimization mode. Just to repeat, there are 3 different optimization modes available with the Powerbundle 360 for MetaStock. Simplified is the fastest one, which only tests around 150, 144 different combinations of parameters. If you use the standard or the extreme mode, then multiple thousands of configurations are tested, which potentially gives you better results, but also comes with the drawback that it will take longer to perform the optimization. Okay, so what else do we see here? We can see our efficiency ratings. Wow, with this optimization, they went up to 94% across the board. And in the optimization period, we can even see that 100% of our long entries were successful. So yeah, everything hit. And at the short side, we had 90% of the short signals that were successful. And if you look at the price chart here, you can see that, well, we'll barely ever get stopped out here. We had 1 stop here. But besides this, I think every single signal has hit its target. And this really shows the true power of the auto optimization. It does something that you cannot do manually, which is way too tedious. It will test all these different combinations of parameters to find the best one for you, to really dial in the indicator to the swing, to the motion of the market. Yeah. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3 strike. Now, let me quickly go back to my slides, because next I would like to show to you or explain to you how do these three indicators work and why do they work the way they are working. So this requires a little bit of theory, but I hope it's going to be worthwhile to going through this, because this will really allow you to understand what's going on behind the scenes. So how does it work? This is going to be our next topic, and we're going to look at this one indicator at a time, starting with our 1, 2, 3 strike indicator, our trend trading indicator, the trend expert. Okay, so general approach. What is the basis of this indicator? Well, we have observed that there are often small yet noticeable small changes in volume, directionality, and volatility before a trend really kicks off or really takes off. Now, this indicator is designed to detect these small changes which can really kick off a trend with high precision. And everything comes together, an entry signal is flagged in the direction of the trend. In addition to this, 1, 2, 3 strike is also designed to give you skilled exit points when these 3 dimensions start to falter, okay? Which can be an indication that the trend is slowing down or perhaps coming to an end. Now, what is the idea here? So the first thing that the indicator will do is to look at an increase in volume and volatility. And if this is the case, so if volume increases and volatility increases, the indicator goes into what we call an activated state, basically a pending state, waiting for something in addition to happen. And in this case, it needs price to move in the direction of the trend. So volume is high, volatility is high, the indicator goes into an activated state, and then when in addition to this, also momentum kicks in and price starts to move decisively in one direction or the other, an entry signal is flagged. We have a trend entry. We have high confidence that price will continue in the direction of the trend because, different dimensions have come together. Now, once we're in a trade, the indicator goes into what we call, an open trade mode. And from this point on, the indicator will start looking for exit points where it will suggest to you to partially exit your trade or to close it out altogether, to take risk off the market. As long as you're in a trade, you are at risk. There's an open market. So at some point, we need to, scale out of our position. And the indicator does this by looking at exactly these 3 dimensions once again: volume, trend, and volatility. For example, if volume goes down and volatility goes down, something is slowing down, the indicator will tell you, okay, time to book some partial profits. Or if price is reversing into the opposite direction, obviously then perhaps an uptrend has come to an end and a downtrend starts. Again, time to get out if you're long, right? It just makes sense. And as mentioned previously when we looked at the chart, a final exit occurs when either all our partial exits are triggered or when a signal in the opposite direction occurs. Okay, so just to give you a bit more detail about the partial exit logic, as mentioned before, for a trend entry, we require volume to be high, volatility to be high or increased, and price needs to start moving in the direction of the trend decisively. Now, if these entry conditions are not given anymore, so volume goes down, volatility goes down, these are signs of things are slowing down. Perhaps time to book profits. This is exactly what this indicator does. It observes what price is doing, what volume is doing, what volatility is doing, and will start booking partial profits. All right. Now, there's one additional condition which we call exit on high volume reversal. So let's say we're positioned long, okay? And then in our long trade, a big down bar occurs, which has high volume. This typically is a warning sign that something is off, something's not feeling right. And we have this option built into the indicator as a parameter to close down the long trade if such a scenario happens, to take some risk off the market. All right. So this is the partial exit logic. Now quickly, the parameters. As you know, as you've seen, the indicator comes with a set of parameters. Let me quickly explain to you what these do. And then I'm also going to discuss how we can customize the optimization feature for this indicator. Okay, so the first parameter is called volatility period. So again, the indicator looks for an increase of volatility. So how does it figure out whether we have an increase? Well, it's based on this volatility parameter. Basically, it's a look back period which compares the volatility. Perhaps if this parameter is set to a value of 10, it will compare the current volatility to what was the volatility 10 bars ago. And if we have an increase at the current bar, then we have an increase in volatility. So basically, this is what this parameter does. Similar for the volume. The volume parameter compares the current volume to the volume a number of bars ago, which is defined by the volume period. Again, if this was set to, for example, 15, it will compare the current volume to what was the volume 15 bars ago. If we had an increase, this is another condition that comes true for potential entry, or for a potential potential exit if the exit on high volume reversal option was selected, which is exactly this third parameter here. If this parameter is set to 1 means true, then the indicator will give you exit suggestions if such a high volume reversal bar occurs. If it's set to 0, it will not do that. Okay. Finally, the indicator also requires directionality. So price needs to start moving either to the upside or the downside. How does the indicator figure this one out? Well, it's looking at two moving averages, a fast moving average and a slow moving average. And the periods for these MAs, the moving averages, can be also set in the parameters. For example, the fast MA period might be set to 10 and the slow MA period might be set to 30. So the slow MA is always has a bigger period than the fast MA because it takes longer to adapt to recent price action. That's why it's called slower. And the indicator determines that we're in a downtrend, for example, if the fast MA is below the slow MA. That means we're in a downtrend. At this point, we may have an entry signal if we also have increase in volume and increase in volatility. And if we're in a downtrend, if you remember, the price bars are colored reddish. And vice versa, for an uptrend, we require that the fast moving average is above the slow moving average. If this is the case, the price bars will be colored greenish. And if you also have an increase in volatility and an increase in volume, we may have an entry signal. All right, so the last two parameters are long and short partial exit. These are the maximum number of partial exits that we will see for a given entry signal. By default, these are set to 4. So for every entry, we may have at most 4 partial exits. We may have less if we have an entry signal in the opposite direction, but we may have at most, if it's set to 4 partial exit. But you can configure this yourself. Perhaps you want to have 6 partial exits, or perhaps only 1. You can do this by using these two parameters. And lastly, we have a trading style parameter. By default, the indicator will trade or give you both long and short entry signals. But perhaps you may not be interested in going short. Perhaps you have an investment account where you can't even short a stock. Well, in this case, you can configure the indicator to only give you long signals and no short signals, or vice versa. Maybe you have a strong bias to the short side. You don't believe in the latest bull rally that we have. Well, you may think, oh, we're still in a bear market. Prices are going to continue down, and I only want to consider short signals. Well, you can do this again by using the trading style parameter, by setting it to short only. And once you do this, you will only get short entry signals. But by default, as I mentioned before, it's configured to be long and short. Okay, and finally, and this applies to the auto optimization version of the indicator. Okay, all the parameters here, which I had shown you, like fast MA period, slow MA period, volatility period, volume period, and so forth, these are meant for the manual configuration. in case you want to set these manually. If you use the auto optimization version, most of these parameters will be determined automatically for you, with a couple of exceptions. What are these exceptions? Well, for 1, 2, 3 strike, it is the long and short partial exits, because this is something that typically you don't want to optimize on. Maybe you have a strong preference to get out of your trade in just one shot, just one partial exit. You don't want to, you don't want to scale out. Maybe that's too much work for you. So you have the option to set these to you, and these will not be tweaked and changed in the auto optimization feature. And the second parameter, which you can optimize on, is the trade direction. So here you can determine, okay, I only want to see long only signals or short only signals or signals in both directions. All right. The other parameters or optimization parameters affect how the optimization is performed. And it's actually quite important to understand this. So the first one is called optimization lookback. These are the number of historical bars over which the optimization will be performed. By default, it's set to 1000. This means the last 1000 bars on the chart are used for the optimization. If you change this value from 1000 to 2000, it means that, we consider the last 2000 bars, which may or may not be a good idea. I believe there's a sweet spot for this. So I think 1000 is, in my opinion, a good value, because you may not want to optimize over bars which are a long time ago, because market conditions change over time, and perhaps what was more than 1000 bars ago is not so relevant anymore right now. This is why I believe there's a sweet spot for this value. And again, by default, it's set to 1000 bars. And the second parameter for adjusting how the optimization is performed is called the optimization mode, which basically lets you choose the complexity of your optimization. By default, the simplified mode is chosen for all 3 indicators, which basically means that only roughly 150 combinations for 1, 2, 3 strikes, 144 combinations are tested. It's the optimization mode which runs the fastest. And if you switch a lot between different charts, this is the optimization mode which I would recommend, because then the loading time of the chart is the fastest. But perhaps you're not rushed, or perhaps you only trade one particular symbol that you're interested in, so you can wait a bit longer. Then you can use these 2 optimization modes, standard or extreme. So standard tests are roughly 1000 different combinations, and extreme tests almost 4000 different combinations, which is also the slowest mode to be tested. Okay, so these are the parameters for 1, 2, 3 strike. Now, let's move on to Divergence Cloud. We're going to look at the indicators a bit later on the chart again, but I'd like to cover first the theory behind these 3 indicators before we move back to the chart. So the second indicator is Divergence Cloud, our pullback finder or our reversal finder. And the cool thing about Divergence Cloud is it's once again based on our research, and we found something really noteworthy, and I'm not sure many traders have realized this. We've run a very comprehensive research study in our lab a couple of years ago. And we have noticed that for some reason, I'm going to give you my theory why that is in a second, but for some reason, volatility on bearish days or bearish bars is higher than on bullish bars. So here's a study that we performed. We looked at all the stocks of the S&P 500, and we compared the size of the bars, which is basically volatility. Volatility is just a fancy word for bar size. The bigger your bars are, the more volatile is the market. The more movement was there from open to close. If the bars are really big, it's very volatile. The bars are small, the market is not very volatile. What we've done is we compared the bar size of bullish bars to the bar size of bearish bars. And we have noticed that our bearish bars, on average, are almost 5% bigger than bullish bars. And this is across the S&P 500. So what can we learn from this? we can learn that, if you're in an uptrend, if bars going up, if the close price is above the open price, they're going up, we can expect that the bar size tends to be a bit smaller. Things are smooth. Things are just going up in one direction. But on bearish days, when things are faltering, stocks are falling down, people tend to panic. When people tend to panic or traders tend to panic, there's more action in the market. Lots of activity, volatility is high. And this is an observation which can be seen not just for stocks, but across all kinds of assets. For example, we've seen this for the S&P 5. Well, these are the S&P 500 individual stocks. If you look at the ETF, the SPY, bearish bars are 12.34% bigger than bullish bars. On the QQQ, the Nasdaq ETF, it's even more, it's 16% bigger. That's a crazy big value. On the Dow ETF, 13%. Even for Bitcoin and Ethereum, we see the same phenomenon. And this is exactly the theory or the basis of our divergence cloud indicator. There's a telltale sign in the market, which is based on the bar size, which is based on the volatility, which will allow us to make forecasts that perhaps things are changing. If we're in a downtrend and bar sizes tend to be, getting smaller and smaller, things are slowing down, this can be a telltale sign that the downtrend is coming to an end and an uptrend is starting. Or vice versa, we're in an uptrend and volatility is getting bigger and bigger. Things are not as smooth anymore. Again, this can be a telltale sign that the uptrend may come to an end and the downtrend is starting. And this is exactly the approach of what Divergence Cloud is based on. So in a nutshell, if volatility is going down or relatively small, we call it stabilizing and decreasing, and price is starting to move up, that's a strong sign that we have a bullish divergence and things are continuing in the upside direction. And we can see this over and over again. For example, we can see that, generally we were in an uptrend, but suddenly, every uptrend takes a pause every once in a while. Things have been going down a bit since the last highest high. But of course, after a retracement, chances are that price will continue in the upside direction. And we can forecast this by looking at bullish divergence spots. So we had a retracement, but now things are stabilizing again. Volatility is going down. Price has stopped moving down and starting moving upwards. That's a very strong telltale sign that we have a continuation in place. And for you as a trader, a great entry opportunity in the direction of the overarching trend. All right. So simply put, when volatility is low and decreasing while price and momentum are sloping upwards, we have bullish divergence, which can be a telltale sign for an entire trend reversal or for a continuation after a pullback. For bearish divergence, it's exactly the opposite. So we have bearish divergence when volatility starts to increase, and is relatively high while price is decreasing. Again, we have a discrepancy. Our volatility indicator tells us, well, it's going up, there's an increase, price is going down, they don't agree, we have bearish divergence. And this can typically happen or often happen if things are, the uptrend is coming to an end, things are getting more volatile. Perhaps it's a sign for an unsustainable top or a blow-off top where, after a strong up move, typically we have a strong correction to the downside. And bearish divergence based on volatility can be a telltale sign exactly for this. And then summary, when volatility is high and increasing or price is moving downwards, we have bearish divergence, which can be a sign for a bullish trend reversal. So bullish trend is coming to an end and reverses to the downside, or it can be a pullback or continuation of a pullback of a downtrend. All right, so this is bearish divergence. Now, similarly to 1, 2, 3 strike, also Divergence Cloud has both entry and exit signals. And when it comes to entries, an entry signal is given to you when we either find bullish divergence, which is an entry to the long side, or we have bearish divergence, which is an entry for the short side. And also this indicator comes with partial exits, which basically are warning signs that, our trend entry is losing power. So if you have a long trade, it's losing steam. Perhaps we do not have bullish divergence anymore. There's no divergence in the market, or perhaps it's been replaced by bearish divergence. In this case, a partial exit is generated, alerting you as a trader that things have changed or starting to change. Perhaps it's time to take something off your position. And of course, a final exit occurs when either all partial exits are triggered or when an entry signal in the opposite direction occurs. Now, for the parameters. So again, divergence chart also comes with a set of parameters. The first one is called divergence lookback. Now, divergence lookback is used, or is basically a reference point for us to determine whether we have a divergence or not. And it goes hand to hand with our ATR period parameter, which is an indication of volatility. And how this works, we can see on this slide. So in this case, we have bearish divergence, and I'm going to explain to you why that is. So if you remember, bearish divergence occurs if price is starting to move down and volatility is starting to move up. It's increasing. So how is this measured? Well, quite easy. So let's say we're here, this red big entry, which is based on bearish divergence. Now, how was this determined? Well, first of all, we have compared price in the beginning of our divergence lookback period, which was around here, and at the end of our divergence period, which is this signal here, because let's assume we are right now here. So we can see price has moved down. It's clear to see just by comparing the candle here to the candle here, price has moved downwards. But at the same time, we can also see that volatility has increased. And again, volatility is just a fancy word of bar sizes. Now, it doesn't really make sense to only look at one particular bar. Instead, it's better to look at the average bar size at any given moment in time. And one indicator to do this is the ATR indicator, which stands for average true range. And the ATR indicator comes with a period, which basically is the averaging period. And if you're just looking at the bar sizes here, we can see that by average, they're relatively small, or at least smaller, compared to the bar sizes here in the vicinity of this entry signal. They're bigger just by looking at them. So we have a discrepancy. Price is getting smaller, it's going down, but volatility is going up. And this is what we call bearish divergence. This is why we have this entry signal here. Okay. Now, in addition to this, in addition to the divergence lookback period parameter and the ATR period parameter, we also have a parameter called min price move. This one is used to filter out flat price action. Yeah, let me quickly go back to this picture here. Here it's fairly clear that price really has moved down quite a bit. So price really started to move down, which is good. This is exactly what we want. But sometimes, price might be just a slight tiny bit down, but nothing really happened. We're already in a sideways market. You don't want a signal based on this kind of price action because price didn't really move. Even though technically it's last, it didn't move enough. And we've introduced a parameter for this, which is called min price move in ATR percent, which basically is a parameter that requires price to move at least this much in ATR, so that an entry signal can be generated and we have a bullish or bearish divergence. If price didn't move enough, price action was too flat, it didn't move enough, we don't want to have a signal. And how much price needs to move can be adjusted with this parameter. All right, and the other two parameters are the same as we had before. We have long and short partial exits. Same as in 1, 2, 3 strike, here you can set the maximum number of partial exits that you want to have for a given entry signal. And then we have the trading style parameter, which lets you indicate whether you want to see both long and short signals, perhaps long signals only, or short signals only. All right. And last but not least, real quick, the optimization parameters. Again, these are used only for the AO version of Divergence Cloud. And similarly to 1 to 3 strike, we can manually set the number of long and short partial exits and the trading style. These are not being optimized. Yeah. In addition to this, we can once again set, okay, how many historical bars should be considered during optimization, and which optimization complexity, which optimization mode should be used. Again, by default, the simplified mode is selected, which for Divergence Cloud tests 180 different combinations. It's the fastest one. And it should be applied if you switch quickly from chart to chart, because it will increase chart loading speed. But if you have time, if you're not rushed, you can also use the standard mode, which tests roughly 900 combinations, or the extreme mode, which tests 3,360 combinations and is the slowest one. Okay, so this is 1 to 3 strike. One more indicator to go through, which is Volatility Crusher. So Volatility Crusher is our breakout indicator designed to find lasting breakouts. And the lasting breakout to us is a breakout where price will continue in the direction of the breakout for quite some time, giving you a great entry opportunity when you just simply enter in the direction of the breakout. Now, again, this is based on our own research. And we have found that if you have a breakout, I'm going to start with point number 2 here. If you have a breakout, which basically is a drastic price move with strong momentum, with a big bar, price start to move really quick at some point. If this is accompanied by abnormally high volatility, then we have a lasting breakout. Then we have a strong breakout. This is exactly what this indicator looks for. It looks for a strong price move, a big bar in one direction or the other, and an abnormally high volatility. And if that's the case, an entry signal is flagged. All right. So, as I mentioned, a long and short trade is taken when we have abnormally high volatility while a price breakout occurred. And once we're in a trade, the trade is kept open until either both our profit targets are hit or our trading stop is hit. This indicator, unlike 1 to 3 strike and Divergence Cloud, comes with 2 predefined profit targets. You can configure this. We always have 2. And again, this is based on our research. We have found that this is the best combination to trade these kind of breakouts with 2 profit targets and a trading stop. Now, what are the parameters that can be used with this indicator? The first one is look back period. Now, look back period does a number of things. But foremost, it basically narrows in a look back window. And this is important because this look back window will give you a price range. So basically the indicator looks at what was the lowest price in that window. This was somewhere down here. And what was the highest price? And this range is used for a number of things. For example, it is used to calculate your profit targets because these are a percentage of this range. The bigger the range, the further away will be your profit targets because price is very volatile. The smaller the range, the narrower will be your profit targets. Same for the trading stop. It's also a percentage of this range. And the initial stop value and also how the stop will be trailed afterwards. So this is the first purpose of this look back period. The second purpose is to determine whether we have abnormally high volatility, yes or no. And this is done using a second parameter. So again, keep in mind volatility, just a fancy word for bar size. The bigger our bars, the higher is our volatility. But once again, we don't only want to consider one bar. This might be an outlier. Maybe something happened on this particular bar, but besides this, volatility is very small or very low. We want to look at the average volatility. So how do we calculate the average? Well, we're looking at the bar sizes over a period of time, which is set by the smoothing period parameter. So if this is set to 10, we're looking at the 10 last bars and averaging out the volatility of these 10 bars, which will give us the average volatility. And based on this average volatility, we're calculating something which is called a standard deviation multiple. It's a mathematical formula which basically defines or calculates an upper band of this average volatility. Yeah, and this is going to be our threshold to determine whether the current volatility is abnormally high. So let me repeat this. For averaging the volatility and calculating based on the average, the upper deviation band based on a certain multiple parameter. The higher the multiple, the further away this band will be. And then we're looking, is our current volatility exceeding this band, which means to us we have abnormally high volatility. And if this is the case, and this is accompanied by a strong price move, an explosive price move, we have a strong breakout, and an entry signal is flagged. And the other parameters for volatility crusher are trade direction or trading style. Again, we can choose between long and short signals, long only and short only. And we can determine, should we use a trend filter? Yes or no? Yeah, with the fast and slow trend period. Again, these are two moving averages. Because what we want and what we've learned in our research is that the breakout should occur in the direction of the overarching trend. So if price is sloping upwards, in order to increase our chances, I want to have a bullish breakout. I don't want to go against the trend. Or vice versa, if price is sloping downwards, I want to have a bearish breakout, yeah, which basically confirms the trend. We had a breakout in the direction of the trend. And how's this trend established? Well, by looking at two moving averages again, similar to 1, 2, 3 strike. We have an uptrend if the fast MA is above the slow MA, or vice versa for a downtrend. Next, do you require volume parameter? Now, that's one thing I forgot to mention. So I said before, okay, we need a strong price move. We need abnormally high volatility. All right, but there's one more thing we can look at, which is an increase in volume. We found that oftentimes this even magnifies the chance that this is a strong breakout and it will continue in the direction of the breakout. Now, there's a parameter called require volume. If set to 1, it tells the indicator that in addition to high volatility and explosive price move, we also require abnormally high volume. How is abnormally high volume measured? Well, again, we're looking at the average volume, okay? Now, and if price is above the average volume times this multiple, then we have abnormally high volume. So let's say we have a bar with a volume of, 1 million. But the average volume is only 500,000. Okay? And let's say our volume multiple parameter is set to 1.5. Basically, this means that the current volume at the breakout bar needs to be at least 1.5 times higher than the average volume, which in this case would have been the case. 1 million is greater than 1.5 times 500,000. If this volume parameter was set, let's say 2.5, then this would not be satisfying this requirement, because 1 million is not 2.5 times bigger than 500,000. Okay? So this is where this parameter comes in. The higher the volume multiple parameter, the more trades will become, because the harder it is to satisfy this volume requirement. And the last three parameters are for setting our profit targets and our stop loss. As mentioned, we have two profit targets, which are a function of the breakout range. That's a percentage of this range. Okay. So target 1 retracement and target 2 retracement. Let's say target 1 retracement is set to 50 and target 2 retracement is set to 100. It means that target 1 is 50% of this breakout range away from entry, and target 2 is 100% of this breakout range away from entry. Yeah? The higher these percentages, the further away will be the targets. And similar for the stop loss, it's the percentage of this range. Now, the higher the retracement percent, the further the stop loss will be away, and the further the trading stop will be traded. All right. Okay, so, and last but not least, as mentioned before, also volatility crusher comes with auto optimization. A small nuance here. Here we have the option of whether we want the optimizer to optimize these percentages for target 1, target 2, and stop loss or not. And the way this is done in MetaStock is if we give this parameter something sensible, which is a positive value, we cannot use a negative value here. It doesn't make sense. We cannot have a target below our entry. So if the value for the optimization parameters is sensible, which means in this case, if it's positive, then it will not be optimized that way because we're giving it a realistic value. But anything else, with a negative value, for example, then the optimizer will find the best percentages for us. Why did we do it like this? Because sometimes maybe you want to have a certain reward risk ratio in your head that you want to follow. You don't want to optimize over this. You don't want the optimizer to touch this. Well, you can do this by giving these, by overriding the optimization, by giving realistic values to these 3 parameters. The other optimization parameters are trading style, once again, long only, short only, or both directions. The number of historical bars over which the optimization should be performed, and which optimization mode should be used, similar to what we had for the other 2 indicators. Wow. Okay, that was a lot of theory. Now I think it's time to go back to the chart one more time to explain to you a little bit how this whole thing works. So let me open up MetaStock one more time, and let me go back to our first indicator, which is 1, 2, 3 strike in its optimized version. So once again, I'm going to go to our first chart. And here we have 1, 2, 3 strike AO, the auto optimized version applied to the chart. And just want to explain to you real quick how these optimization parameters, which I mentioned, can be used to your advantage. And just keep in mind what we see here. So in the optimization period, we had a long efficiency of 81% and a short efficiency of 68%. Across all bars, it was 76% and 62% to the short side. And we had used the simplified optimization mode. Okay. And trading style was both long and short trades. Now, let's tweak this a little bit. Perhaps, again, you're in an investment account, you cannot go short. It's not allowed by your broker, or this particular account type cannot take short trades. All right. So then we shouldn't even consider our short entries at all because in the optimization, because we're never going to go short. All right. So let's reconfigure the optimization to only look at long trades. Why not? So what we can do is, again, we go to our function symbol here and navigate down to 1, 2, 3 strike AO settings. As mentioned previously, these are the settings for the optimization procedure. Okay. I'm going to click on edit. It will give me all the different options that I can tweak. So as mentioned, I can choose my long and short partial exits. I'm going to keep it the way it is, 4. It's fine. But the third one is trading style. Here I can choose, okay, whether I want to have both long and short signal, which is the value 0. You can see this here in the commentary. If I use a value of 1, it will only give me long signals, or a value of 2 for only short signals. Let's say we're only interested in going long. Okay, so I'm going to set my trading style parameter to 1. Only long signals should be shown. And why not? For this particular case, I don't want to use the simplified optimization mode, which I can see down here, value of 0. Instead, let's test a few more combinations. Let's use the standard mode. Okay, so all I need to do is to put the value 1 here. Okay, and click OK. All right, I do this, I close this up, and now I need to reload my chart. Otherwise, nothing will happen. I can reload this by clicking on this refresh icon here. Click. All right, as you can see here, I'm going to wait now a little bit for this indicator to be reapplied. And this will take just a bit longer because now we're using the standard optimization mode, which takes a bit longer to calculate. Okay, not too bad. It's recalculated, and let's see what happened. So first of all, as you can see here, no more big short entries. They're all gone. We only see long entries. These little red arrows are our exits for the long entry. All right, pretty good. Looks actually quite nice. Okay, we have these. Let's see what the parameters were. So we can see here for the standard optimization mode, a volume period parameter of 20 was used. For volatility period 5, no exit on hard volume reversal, and so forth. Trading style is long only. We tested now 1,056 different combinations. And here we can see our efficiency. We can see that in the optimization period, we had 96.43% winners. I believe that just by looking at these entries, they were pretty spot on. Yeah. And you can also see this is a classic trend entry system. Yeah, as long as we were on an uptrend, price been moving up, we're getting all these long entries here. As soon as price is starting to go down substantially, no more long entries. See this here? Price moving down, nothing. Yeah, because we're in a downtrend. And then here price now consolidated and start to move up again with our long entries again. All right. Okay. So this is how you can really take a full advantage of these optimization parameters. Okay. Now, real quick for the other two indicators, and then I'm going to look at some other aspects of MetaStock, is in particular how you can scan for entries. So back to Divergence Cloud. Let me just pick this one up here. Okay, this is Divergence Cloud applied to the price chart, and it's the optimized version of Divergence Cloud. And in this case, if you may wonder, what's this weird ribbon below my price chart? Well, this is an extra visualization that we have built in, which basically complements the candle coloring. It mimics the candle coloring. So you can either look at the candle coloring to see if we have a bullish divergence or a bearish divergence, or you can look at the ribbon down here. Okay. Now, again, this is the auto optimization version used, and let's just have a look at the configuration that we used. So here we can see it was used in simplified mode. We went through 180 different configurations. These were the settings which were deemed optimal. Yeah, ATR period of 20, divergence look back 7, min price move in ATR percent 175, and so forth. And here we can see our statistics. In the optimization period, we had a 90% success rate on the long side and 73% to the short side. And across all the bars, it was just a bit lower. But as mentioned previously, for 1 to 3 strike and also for Divergence Cloud, our winners tend to be bigger than our losers. Yeah, just look at here. You can see that, I don't know, we had a big winner here. And if you get stopped out, typically we can get stopped out right away. Okay, so this is for Divergence Cloud. Okay, now let's move on to our third indicator, which is Volatility Crusher. So I'm going to go to yet another chart. In this case, let me open up our, which one did we have? Our 10-minute chart of the S&P 500, just to see what was the optimization mode used. Again, one of my favorite charts. This is really dialed in. I had 2 beautiful trades, one overnight and one this morning at around 8 o'clock, right here. 2 beautiful short entries, taking full advantage of the bearish day that we had. And if you look at the optimization settings used, we can see that we once again used the simplified mode. These were the individual parameters used. We had target 1 retracement of 30% of the breakout range. Target 2 was at 60%. Stop loss was at 60% as well. Okay. And again, if you look at the statistics, we can see that, well, in the optimization period, we had all hits, all winners to the long side, 90% to the short side, and very consistent readings across all the bars on the chart. All right, so I hope this gave you a good overview of the chart indicator. But there's still a few more things which I would like to cover. So hopefully you have a bit of energy left, and let's get started. So back to my charts, back to my slides, and the last topic is about how to run scans and how to run system tests and optimizations, backtest optimization, I should say, in MetaStock. We're going to start with the scans, which are called expirations. All right, so the Powerbundle 360 and its latest generation comes with a set of predefined manually and optimized expirations. Yeah. Now, what are these expirations? I'm going to get to these points in just a second. So as a reminder, we have 4 scans to be used with the manual configuration. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scans to be used with the auto optimization feature of the AO version of the indicators. Now, how can we run these scans? And there's a couple of things that you must take into account. So let me switch back to MetaStock. I'm going to open up the Power Console by simply clicking on the little P icon in the top left corner, the Power Console. So this will open up the console, in my case, on a different window. Let me just drag it in. There we go. Okay, so this is the Power Console. In there, we have a tab called Explore, as you can see here. So typically the chart tab is selected. Yeah, but what you need to do is to go down to the Explore tab, which is basically the scanning configuration of MetaStock. Now, the first thing I want to show you is an incredible thing about MetaStock. You could scan, in theory, across 300,000 different symbols. I don't know any other platform which has this kind of wealth of symbols to scan through. It is just incredible. In addition to this, you can scan through various time intervals. In this case, we're going to use the daily interval, but you can use all kinds of intervals. 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and so forth. You can define your custom intervals. Yeah, this is all possible in MetaStock. Okay, now, how do we run a scan for our Powerbundle signals? Okay, it's quite easy. So the first thing you need to do is to select or define the expiration that come predefined with the Powerbundle. They are all grouped under the letter P for Powerbundle. So I'm going to scroll down all the way to P for Powerbundle. You can see them all here. The reason why they're already selected is because I ran these scans early on today. So let me deselect them real quick, just for fun. Okay. Now, here now we have all the different expirations, which I mentioned previously. Yeah. Whenever an AO suffix is included, it means it's an expiration that uses the auto optimization feature. So we have many of those. Whenever there is no AO, it means that the manual settings are used for the scan. Okay, so that's very important to keep in mind. So how do we run one? Let's just pick an example expiration. So let's say we want to scan for 1 to 3 strike entry signals. What I do, I select this expiration. Now it's selected. The step number 2 is to select through which instruments I want to scan through. Now we can select 300,000 instruments if you really want to go crazy. I'm not going to do now because this will take way too long. But if you have time, or if you can run things overnight, you can select a really big subset of these symbols to scan through. So in this case, you're going to choose something smaller. All right. So let's pick something small. I'm going to go down here and let's just scan through, just to make it real fast, to the S&P 1, actually NASDAQ 100. That's enough. 100 symbols. This should finish relatively small. Okay, great. Now, we're not done yet. One very important thing to be considered. It's this value here, records to load. Because remember, the scan we've picked right now is based on auto optimization. So what does this mean? It requires that the records to load, the bars to load for the scan needs to be at least as big as the amount of bars taken into account for the optimization. By default, this value is set to 1000. We can check this by simply going to the function symbol here, 1 to 3 strike AO settings. I click edit, and we can see here optimization lookback is 1000. So this value up here needs to be at least 1000. Otherwise, things will not add up. We have fewer bars loaded than the optimization wants to take into account. So this value needs to be at least as big as the optimization lookback. But there's one more thing to be taken into account. If you want everything to match up properly, you need to choose the same number of records for your chart. Data request range needs to be the same as used for the scan. So what I do, I choose the same value for all three items here. For number of records for the display range, in this case set to 1,250, it's bigger than our optimization lookback. Data request range, I load 1,250 records. And then for the scan on the Explorer, I also put the number 1,250. Why 1,250? Because it exceeds our optimization lookback by just a bit. All right, so all three values should be matching up. Great. Now, the other thing to be taken into account is this option here, use filter. And for now, I'm just going to disable this just so you can see what the effect is. Okay, so let's start this exploration. So we have Powerbundle selected. We have our NASDAQ 100 selected. And we have our records load set to 1,250, which is the same as the chart settings, and use filter is deselected. Perfect. So let's start the exploration. And let me just quickly close down the window here. This is why this does not work. Okay, so I closed it down. Now I can start my exploration. So once started, another window will pop up, and we can see the progress of the scan. And you can see now that well, so far nothing really happened, but here you can see the progress. And depending on how fast your PC is and how fast your connection is, this will take quite some time to complete. I hope this will not be too long. We can see it's completing. And also depending on what the optimization mode that you've used. And I just remembered one important thing is that the optimization mode for our 1, 2, 3 strike, we set it to standard. And if you remember, standard is much slower than simplified. This is why this takes quite some time. So let me cancel this, and change the scan mode for this to be used. So how do I do this? I once again go back to the functions tab here. I go to 1, 2, 3 strike AO settings. I click on edit, and I now change the scan mode, the optimization mode, sorry, from standard, which is a value of 1, back to simplified. You will see now that once I do this, the scanning process will be much quicker. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to change the trading style parameter from long only to both directions, long and short. As you can see here, these settings not only affect the chart indicator, but they will affect everything else, including the explorations. So I'm going to say, okay, close it down, and I will once again rerun this exploration. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 strike for entry signals on the NASDAQ 100, no filter. What this filter will do, I'll show you in a second. We start the exploration. As you will see here, this will now go much faster. So you can see these values increase much quicker. This will now only take a couple of seconds to complete. Yet another use case of why sometimes or oftentimes you want to use the simplified optimization mode. And as soon as this is done, we can look at the results. All right. So this is almost complete, and we're going to look at the results. And for the other scans, which I want to show you, I've already ran this previously, so we don't have to wait. So this is the only waiting period, or the only waiting that we have to do. All right. So this is now completed, and once it's complete, we can see the scan results here. All right. So you get this kind of list here, which, because we have no filter activated, shows every single symbol. So what we can do now is we can look at the different columns. So long signal and short signal. Let's start with this. These are the columns which will show you whether on the current bar, the last bar, we currently have a long entry signal or a short entry signal. And how do we see this? It looks like all like 0, but it's not all 0. We can sort by it. Simply by clicking on the column. So I sort by it, and we can see that we had 2 symbols with long entry signals. If I sort by the short column here, I can see we had 3 symbols, including Google, with short entry signals. Great. All right, we had some signals. But what else can we see? Well, we can see that all the other ones didn't have an entry signal, but there's still some valuable information in here. Because we can see, even though these didn't have an entry signal, what is the historical hit rate of the signals? Even though we don't have a signal right now, we can still see the historical hit rate in these percentages here. So AO long IET and AO short IET. This is the hit rate of our signals, in this case the long signals, and here the short signals, in the optimization lookback period, the 1,000 bars over which we performed the optimization. Yeah. Here we have long IET and short IET, which shows you the overall hit rate, taking into account all the bars on the chart. And we can see that, well, for Google, for Alphabet, well, our long IET was very nice at 77%, and for short, even higher at 78%. And why should we look at short? Well, we actually have a short signal here. So what I want to do is I want to see, well, what was my hit rate to the short side? Because I may consider going short. Here we had 78% and overall at 69%. Okay, quite promising. So let's check out the chart. So what you can do then is to click on the symbol, click on open chart. I just want to open up the chart for Google, for Alphabet. Just move this away real quick. Okay, I'm moving this. Here we can see we have 1, 2, 3 strike applied. And of course, one thing you need to make sure is that the time frame matches. So the scan was performed on the daily time frame, but this is the 10-minute chart. Well, why do I see this? Well, because it's set 10 minutes here. So let's change this to daily. And as soon as I do this, it should now match up. So as soon as this loads, we can see that indeed, for Google, we do have a short entry signal on the last bar. All right, great. So our scan worked. We did find a symbol with a short entry signal, and now I can do some manual analysis. For example, do I want to take the short trade? And I'll tell you what. Just looking at the history here, we had a couple of short entry signals, which all were spot on. So this could be, once again, another short entry signal. We are on a downtrend, as you may imagine, for most tech stocks. After a nice retracement, another short entry signal, and to me, perhaps a promising signal to be considered. All right. So this was a scan for fresh entry signals, short entry, which must happen on the last bar. Yeah. We can also scan for entries which happened earlier, and we'll still have an open trade. Let me show you how this can be done. So I'm going back to my Power Console. And in this case, instead of using the 1, 2, 3 strike AO signals version of the expiration, I'm going to use this one here, 1, 2, 3 strike AO trade version, which basically scans for open trades. And in this case, I'm going to apply the use filter. And there's also a reason for this. So let's run this again. And in fact, I'm just going to quickly just open up the scan results, which I have here, because it's preloaded. So I don't want to run it again. It's just to save some time. So here I can now see what are the result. What are all the stocks in my NASDAQ 100? Well, actually, I think the scan universe here was a bit bigger with an open trade. So these are all signals with open trades, either to the long side or the short side. How do I know whether it's long or short? It's this column here, the trade column. So I can sort by this. So I just clicked on it. Now I can see all the symbols with a value of 1. 1 means long trade. If I sort to the upper side, see -1. So you may imagine -1 means short trade. All right, great. So I can see all these ones have an open trade. I can see what was the entry price for these trades. I can see how many bars ago did these trades happen. Yeah, this one happened 49 bars ago. What was the percentage to the long and short side for these trades, and so forth. Yeah, so let's consider one trade here. Let's go. Let's sort this again, and let's see if we can find a nice entry signal which happened a long time ago, many bars ago. Let me just quickly sort by this. All right. So here we can see that, for example, if you considering going long, we had a trade that opened 92 bars ago. for this symbol here. Let's check it. So once again, we can click on Open Chart. This will now open up the chart behind my window here. We can apply 1, 2, 3 strike to it. Touch 1, 2, 3 strike AO. I click OK. It's being applied to the chart. Once again, I need to make sure it's the daily time frame. So in this case, it is still on the 10-minute because this was my default previously. So I switched to daily, and we can see that we will have an open trade to the long side, which happened quite some time ago. We can see here we had our nice long entry signal. Happened exactly 100 bars ago. So if I were to count this out, you would see it's exactly 100 bars, and we still have an open trade because so far only 3 of our partial exits have been hit. The last exit is still to be hit. All right, great. That was a scan for trades that opened a while back and that is still open, but the entry didn't have to happen at the last bar. All right, so let me go back and cover quickly the other scans, but we don't have to go through all the results. So 1, 2, 3 strike signals. This is a scan which does not use the auto optimization. It is a scan for entry signals, which must happen at the last bar, where the manual settings are being used. And if you remember, where are the manual settings? Well, they are here. Again, I click on the function symbol, and I go to 1, 2, 3 strike without the AO. I click on Edit, and here I can edit all the manual settings. And these are the settings, whatever I choose here, these are the settings to be used by this scan. And this scan still has utility. Maybe you have something in mind, something very specific that you want to scan for, where you don't want to use the auto optimization version. Well, you can use it with this particular scan. For Divergence Cloud, we have 5 different scans. So 3 of them for the auto optimization version. So what do we have here? We have one for the cloud color. We can scan here for the cloud color. Let me just quickly show to you how this looks like. If I click on report, now we get something similar to this, where we have a column, div cloud, divergence cloud, which either has a value of -1 for bearish divergence, or if I go all the way down, a value of 1 for bullish divergence. So you can see basically you can find all the symbols which currently have a bearish or a bullish divergence, in addition to our statistics, how well the signals have been working out. All right, so that's that scan. We can scan for entry signals at the last bar. We can scan for open trades. Again, we're using the auto optimization version. We can scan for entry signals using the manual settings. And we can scan for the cloud color, which is this one here, using the manual settings. And once again, the manual settings can be seen by going to the Functions tab, and we choose Divergence Cloud Settings without the AO. And then for Volatility Crusher, we have 3 more scans. We have 2 for the auto optimization version, 1 for entry signals at the last bar, and 1 for currently open trades, and then 1 scan for using the manual settings, which is this one here, which doesn't have the AO built in. All right, so this is the scanning part of MetaStock. Again, a super powerful feature. I personally run these scans overnight. It's great. Before I go to bed, I set up my scans, I run them, and I use a really big universe, and then I come back in the morning and see which of the symbols I'm interested in currently have entry signals. Then I look at these statistics, which have entry signals and which give me the best statistics. And for the ones that give me the best statistics, I can see this directly in the scan results. I then open up the chart and do some manual analysis to pick my trades for the day. All right, so quickly back to the charts, and we're almost there. So these were all the different explorations. A quick reminder, it is so important that you choose a good value for records to load for the scan. It should match the records loaded on the chart, and it should be greater than the optimization look back parameter. So in this case, I used 1,250. I would recommend perhaps that you use the same value to start with. And if you're interested in finding entry signals for historical bars, That's another trick you can use. It's the use exchange date time function. And I explain to you why this is actually quite important. Let's say it's the weekend. It's Sunday. The market is closed. If I were to scan for entry signals for Sunday, I would not get any results because the market is closed. Nothing has happened on Sunday. There's no bar on Sunday. So perhaps maybe I'm interested on entry signals which happened on the last close bar, which happened to be Friday. How do I do this? I can do it like this. I can use the uncheck this option here, use current exchange date time, and I pick the date for which I want to scan. So if last Friday was, I don't know, a different date, I can set the date here and then I can rerun my scan, which will pick up the signals as they have occurred on Friday. So if it's the weekend, this is a trick you should be using to get you the sequence which happened on Friday. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything. Okay, but if it's not Friday, if it's during the week, you can use the use current exchange date time check box. Okay, so quickly back to my slides. The next topic, since we already ran the exploration, is the system tests and optimizations. And this is a bit quicker. Now, we have supplemented the Powerbundle AO with 3 predefined automated strategies. The logic for these strategies is as follows. How 1, 2, 3 strike. An entry happens whenever we have a long or a short entry signal. Okay, that's sensible. The exit, and that's just one exit, happens when we have a final exit signal or an entry signal in the opposite direction. There are no partial exits for this strategy. You may wonder, why are there no partial exits? This is a limitation currently of MetaStock. MetaStock does not support, when it comes to a strategy, a fully automated strategy, taking partial profits. It needs to be all or one. Enter at once and exit at once. All right. Similar for our divergence cloud strategy, we enter whenever we have a long or short entry signal, and we close out the entire position with no partial profits in between whenever we have a final exit or an entry signal in the opposite direction. And for volatility crusher, we enter at a long or short entry signal and we exit the entire position, again, no partial profits, when we either get stopped out or our second profit target, the one that's further away, is hit. So these are 3 strategies that we have built in. And in MetaStock, you can back test these strategies. So how does this work? I'm going to go back to our Power Console. And in this case, we're going to choose the System Tests tab. Just this one here, which are basically all the back testable strategies in MetaStock. So there are many built-in strategies in here. And we have supplemented this with a set of strategies surrounding the Powerbundle 360. And we have 2 different versions of each strategy. One that uses the manual parameters as defined up here in the version which is not auto-optimized. Because when it comes to a strategy, we want to, either use the MetaStock optimizer, which I'll show you in 1 second, or we want to use the settings that we've chosen here. Okay, so these settings will be used for running these strategies. Okay, so these are these settings, either for 1, 2, 3 strike, divergence cloud, or volatility crusher. Now, I can then pick any of these strategies, let's say volatility crusher, and I can say, okay, I want to run this strategy on a set of symbols. So again, I can pick any of these instrument sets here. If I wanted to use all of them, 300,000, yeah. Or I pick, of course, a much smaller subset. I can select it here, and once done, I can click on Start System Test, and it will then run the system test for me. For example, I could choose click Start System Test for Volatility Crusher. Yeah, I can look at the report here. Let me just quickly open this one up. So this report here is the only one that completed. I can click on View, and we can see the result of this report. Yeah, and what we can see here are the different symbols that were tested through, yeah, and how they performed. And what I like to do is to then sort my symbols by their net profit. You can see here with the configuration, the manual configuration, which obviously it's not, it's just a default configuration. We had a couple of symbols which really performed great in my universe, and of course a couple of ones which did not perform so well. And this is how you can look at these backtest results, and you can click on any of these symbols to get all the details about these backtests performed of this automated strategy. But keep in mind that this automated strategy is really a simplified version of what Volatility Crusher does, or what Divergence Cloud or 1, 2, 3 Strike does, because partial exits cannot be chosen. But there might be still some utility in this. And you can also even use the MetaStock optimizer, which is built in, which will find the best configuration of parameters for you. And the way this works real quick is you can pick the optimizer version of the strategy, then right click, you go to edit, and here you can configure how many different combinations should be optimized over. So in this case, you would optimize over 72 different combinations. And the way this works is to look at the minimum and maximum and the step value. So for the look back period, we test a value of 20. Then we increase it by the step here, which is 40. And then we had the maximum. So 2 different values for look back period, 2 different values for smoothing period. For standard deviation, we start at 1.5, then we increase it by 1, then we had 2.5, we had the maximum. For target retracement, we test 3 different values, 25, then 50, and then 75. Same for stop retracement. And no optimization is happening for these parameters. This gives us a combination of 72 different parameters. And then I can run this optimization. I can look at the report. Let me just quickly select this one. I can look at the, oops, it's not there. But I could look then at the report of this optimization, and I could see which parameters would have worked best to give me the best results over the symbols over which I ran this optimization. All right, so I don't think we have enough time to run this now. So let me quickly wrap up this bootcamp session. So I really hope that you have learned a lot. It was very detailed. We've covered all the different components of your Powerbundle AO for MetaStock, including how to run explorations. And to me, once again, the exploration part is really the most powerful part of MetaStock in combination with the Powerbundle, because it not only allows you to scan through literally hundreds of thousands of symbols, but we have integrated into our Powerbundle a way where you can see directly in the scan results what is the historical success rate of my signals. And on top of all this, instead of using the same parameterization for every symbol, we're using a different parameterization. If we use an AO scan, we use the optimal parameterization on a per symbol basis. This is something which I believe doesn't exist anywhere else. And our technology, together with the power of MetaStock, makes this possible. And this allows you as a trader to quickly identify the symbols which currently have signals and the symbols with signals which are the most promising one to follow. Here we only had a handful of entry signals because I only scanned through 100 stocks. But imagine you scan through thousands of stocks, or maybe tens of thousands of stocks. You're going to get a lot of signals. And then you want to have a way to rank and sort these signals. And this is possible using our statistics, which allows you to hone in on the most promising signals. All right, so quickly back to my slides.
Daniel, we have a lot of questions. I don't know if this is a good time, but I think it's good to knock some of them off. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I waited because I know you said that it was a bit of an intense boot camp, so I kept them to the end. So John wants to know, are the parameters and operations of the Powerbundle 360 AO the same for all platforms, such as TradingView, MotiveWave, and MetaStock? And what could be the differences?
Yeah, so we're always bound to the limitations of the platform. Now, what are these limitations? In a nutshell, TradingView has the smallest computing power. And in TradingView, we can only scan through 10 different combinations of parameters. So that's the one of the smallest computing power. The other ones for NinjaTrader, ModifWave, and MetaStock, they are similar in computing power. And you may have seen the similar settings. Here we have 3 different optimization modes for all 3 platforms: simplified, standard, and extreme, and they should be quite similar for these platforms. If there are differences, then this is typically due to difference in data, historical data.
Okay, thanks. So we have some other questions here. How do I know which indicator to use when I open up a chart?
I actually do it the opposite. I use the scanner first, especially if you use MetaStock. I run my scans, and then I look at charts or symbols which currently have signals. And I focus on the ones which offer signal, but also have good success rates, historically speaking. And then I look at the chart. So I personally do it this way. I run the scan first, see the ones that are of interest to me, which currently have signals. I rank my signals. And they could come from any of the 3 indicators. As long as I get good statistics, I don't really care if it's from volatility crusher or 1 to 3 strike or divergence cloud. I don't discriminate. I just pick the ones which give me the best odds, historically speaking, and I focus on these ones for my manual analysis afterwards.
Okay, thanks. Are there alerts that can help notify me on entries?
Yeah, so MetaStock, you probably didn't see it because the alert dialog box popped up on a different window, but yeah, there are alerts whenever there's a signal. You get a pop-up in MetaStock.
Do we see the entry only on candle close?
Yes. Well, so then it's absolutely confirmed, I should say it like this. So you will get intra-day entries, depending on what the platform is. You will get them intraday, but they may go away again until the candle is fully closed, because the candle may change until it's fully closed, and the signal may appear and disappear until it's closed.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. Do we have time for a few more?
Sure, yeah.
How can I adjust the settings if I trade with tight stops?
Okay, so in this case, I would use my own method for a stop loss. So if you really have a really tight stop, maybe you don't have the capital or the risk tolerance to use a bigger stop loss, you should supplement this with your own stop loss mechanism, whatever you want to use, maybe an ATR-based stop loss or something else, maybe put it at an important support or resistance level. So I would just add this in addition to what the indicator gives you, and then just close the position whenever the stop level is hit.
Okay, perfect. How does the Powerbundle deal with gaps that happen on market open?
Yeah, so good point. So you will get a signal at the close. If you're trading stocks, let's say you get a signal at the close of the market. Let's say it's a long signal. You can't action on that. If the market is closed, there's nothing really you can do. So what I do is I actually wait until the market opens the next day, especially if there's a weekend in between. You definitely should wait and see if there's any gap. If the gap is too big in the direction where I want to trade, typically I would not take that trade because then most of the momentum is already gone and we're a bit too late to the game. But if the gap is not too big, or if it's minor or not at all there, then yeah, we could continue with the trade. But you can always wait till the market opens and then action, right? Up to place your orders at that point.
Ion wants to know what strategy works best for ES futures and daily trading.
Yeah, volatility crash on 10 minutes. I mean, you've seen it on that chart. It's my absolute favorite one, especially in the last couple of weeks. It's been just phenomenal. That's my preference for this one. But this to say, we have so many different traders that use our indicators differently and all successfully. So I just received an email a couple of days back from a trader who used divergence cloud on, I think, a 400 tick chart of CL, like crude oil futures. And he showed me his track record, which was awesome. So he shared a success story with me. So he used it on a tick chart of Divergence Cloud. So there's really no bounce. And the really cool thing is that with all statistics, you can just see it right away if it works or not. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, you stay away. And as I always say, sometimes staying out of a trade is the best trade advice that you can get.
Yeah, that's for sure. So one last question here. How do I know where to put my stop?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of support and resistance zones. So I just look where is there a significant level where price kept bouncing off from, either to the up or downside. And that to me is always a good level to have your stop, because that, chances are price may continue to bounce off that level. So I usually put it right there as my stop loss.
Okay, thanks, Dan. And I have one last question actually that came in, and it is can 1, 2, 3 strikes scan for an entry signal at the last bar?
Oh yeah, that's what we've just did in MetaStock. So if your platform supports scanning, TradingView does not support scanning currently, but all the other ones, ModWave, NinjaTrader, and MetaStock, of course, yeah, you can scan for the last bar. So if you're still wondering, is this Powerbundle for me, or should I consider it? Maybe it doesn't fit my trading style. Well, the answer is our Powerbundle AO is agnostic of your trading style. Whether you're a day trader, swing trader, investor, you can use our indicators because they work on any time frame. Yeah. And if you're like me, or anything like me, and if you're an engineer, I'm a software engineer by training, I believe in using tools to make my life easier. And I think the Powerbundle AO with auto optimization has so many things built in which will make your trading life easier, so you can focus on the actual, looking at the charts and making it an intelligent decision instead of fiddling around with parameters. So whatever helps you, you should be taking advantage of, and especially when it comes in terms of tools. And of course, if you're an investor or trader who is interested in getting better trading results, because that's what we all want at the end of the day, I believe the Powerbundle is for you. And real quick, we still have the option of a lifetime deal for the Powerbundle AO. It will go away. I know I've been saying this for the last couple of tech talks, but it's actually coming. So we're so busy. But now that the year is winding down, we're about to make the switch to our subscription model. But you can still take advantage of the lifetime access. Simply go to tradingindicators.com/AO. AO stands for auto optimization, and you can get this lifetime deal with all the auto optimization feature, with our statistics, with 1, 2, 3 strike, Divergence Cloud, Volatility Crusher, and a lot of additional goodies that we're going to throw in. And when it comes to MetaStock, you get all these different predefined explorations, these system tests, these system optimizations, the parameter adjustments, and so forth. And of course, we're going to throw in additional training material in addition to what I've talked about today. You get our Divergence Cloud ebook, which will explain to you one more time and with more detail of why our form of volatility divergence works the way it works. And of course, I think perhaps most importantly, you're going to be part of our community. So where you get access to all these tech talks for free, and you get a voice of what will happen at tradingindicators.com. You can send us feedback. We're so happy to hear from every single one of you too. And success stories, I love to hear ideas of new features. We get them all the time, and we just add them to our to-do list, and we implement them into the Powerbundle as we see them fit. And if you have the lifetime option, and you will get access to all these new features which will be coming up in the future. And just last but not least, if you already have an older version of the Powerbundle and would like to upgrade to the auto optimization function, simply write us an email at info@tradingindicators.com. I'm going to let you know how you can upgrade to the auto optimization version. All right. So this wraps it really up. Thank you so much once again for sticking around. I know your time is precious, but I really wanted to cover all the ins and outs of the Powerbundle for MetaStock in detail, so you can get most out of it if you use it for MetaStock. And we're excited for the new year to come. Big plans. We have super signals on our horizon for different platforms. We have a brand new web-based dashboards in the works, which we're going to show to you in the beginning of the new year, and many, many other things. And just leaves me to wish you all happy holidays, which are coming up. So spend some time with your family, relax a little bit, get some energy for the new year, which is going to be super exciting. And we're going to see you all back, hopefully, in the new year. So with this, have a good night and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays from me too. Bye-bye.